Howdy, friends. My name is Sergio Villegas. Welcome to Google Hangout on Air, a doc for every occasion. I have a little confession to make. I'm coming from you from awesome hotel Wi-Fi, and my computer just froze up. I'm working as fast as I can to get things reloaded, so I'm going to share my screen. Y'all are going to watch me get set up for a minute while I introduce myself. So hold on a moment. All right, so if you're watching this, oops, I don't need to be on YouTube, I need to be on Drive. If you're watching this, you hopefully got here from the Google On Air page, and there's a link to the session notes, and that's extremely critical. This is not a session where I'm going to be walking you all through how Google Docs work, ideas behind them. This is built for people who have used them before. You know how they work, so you're working with them with students, and you're just looking for more ideas to use them in unique and fun ways. And that's what I'm about to open up for all of you. I worked from the Napa Valley, California, as a high school science coach. I taught English language learners and just really difficult populations with lots and lots of kids. My class ratio was like 36, 37 to 1, and I really needed technology in order to meet the needs of my students. And so everything I'm about to show you kind of reflects off just ideas that I discovered to make my life more efficient in many ways. And I'm going to go through this idea. These are just inspiration ideas for this tool that we can do a lot of different things with. As a technology support person for schools and districts, I really believe in the idea that I don't want any of you to learn 20 tools. I want you to learn how to use one tool 20 ways. And so we're going to stick to the core Google Docs, forms, and presentations to kind of see what else we can do besides the obvious. I'll do my best to keep an eye on the sessions. Glad to see so many different folks are here. But a lot of what we're going to be doing is building off what I call the boardwalk and park place of Google Docs, which is anyone with link can view or edit. It's the easiest way to get access to everybody. And if you don't know how to do this, don't sweat it. Just follow along. You can know that you can go back to slide 4 and have a nice little GIF that kind of walks you through it. The first thing that I want to say about Google is that remember what a Google Doc is. It's an online word processor, but it has kind of what I need. If you need a website for anything, and maybe you're new to technology or just not as fast, or just like most teachers pressed for time, remember that a website just really needs to be publicly accessible, that anyone can view at any time. So why can't this be your website? All right, it's just a Google Doc. I can link to content. I can put agendas up, ideas for the week, YouTube videos, watch this video with your partner, come up with 3 examples in your notebook, and so on, right? A Google Doc can be a website for a beginner. If I'm working in leadership, I guarantee I can hold every staff member accountable to at least having this. They might, even with the simplicity of new Google site, that still might be too intimidating for them. This is enough for them to get started, because we want parents involved in the game. We want parents to know what's going on. We don't want parents guessing. And so the more we can do to get out to them, the better. The only trick that I would really like to add to this is 2 things. Number 1, you saw it took a little bit of a while to load. And if you're trying to view this from your website, like most parents hopefully would be, it's even longer. So if I do want to publish a doc as a website, I'm going to go publish to the web. And I'm going to press the publish button. That's going to give me a new link. Watch how fast this loads. Bam, it pops right up. The formatting's gone. It looks not great, but you know what? This is good enough. It does what I need it to do. I've kicked off the word processor, so it's just like a outward-facing kind of a PDF. And because of this is actually super easy for a cell phone to use and interact with. My last step is to use any kind of URL shortener, and I want to give that to my parents, to my students, and so forth. Just save that. My favorite version of this was a 5th grade teacher that used this in Napa, California, and she had a student who was responsible for updating this every day. Because it's just a Google Doc, anybody can use it. If you're looking for, somebody asked for the reference, I'm going to show it to you one more time. You ready for a screenshot? Right there. Go for it. Quick, grab it now because I'm about to move on. So if you're looking for these slides, you can find them all there, but they're also should be published on the Google On Air page. Thanks for the question. From Cherry, I'm sorry, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name. Okay, next idea. So number one, here's an example of that. Let's look at one teacher's example of this idea. If you're from the Bay Area, you might, or from anywhere awesome, you might know Nicole D'Alessio. She's an extremely clever person. This is her example of a class website. This is her computer lab Google Doc. It has linear agendas from what she does whenever she goes into the, anytime she gets a cart or goes to the lab. It's got a short URL, and it's just a linear stack of 176 pages of 4th grade computer lab lesson plans. Feel free to copy this doc, take a look at it. There's tons of cool ideas in here, and it's just a website that's a Google Doc that she uses anytime she goes to the computer lab. Pretty solid, and that's on slide 8. All right, next idea that I want to share with you guys is if you haven't stumbled upon this, shared folders are really important. Over here, my cursor is pointing at a shared folder. We have an face icon on it. The other folders aren't shared. There's nothing there. The nice thing about a shared folder is we'll automatically adopt the share settings of the folder to anything that I put inside. So if I have a folder shared between, say, me and the grade level team, if I'm making a quiz, I don't need to share and add 4 emails for the other 5th grade teachers. I can just drop it in the folder, done. No more sharing, right? No more emails for everybody. It's just fast and easy. So grade level teams or content teams in secondary should all be working off shared folders instead of sharing everything kind of per diem as it comes along. But we can go a little bit further with that. This is kind of a Google Classroom idea that we're going to take this a little step farther, because one thing that you know about Classroom is that anytime, let's go here too. For 2 things with the shared folder. Number 1, the stream, things get lost. Book, new stuff at the top, old stuff at the bottom, and it just gets buried. Anything that I want to use over and over again, we paste on the About page. Thank you, Alice Keeler, for sharing this idea with us. One more thing that I can do is I can go to my drive. And instead of pasting folders every time, I can make like a resource folder for a unit, for a test. And I can right click on it and get the shareable link to that folder, copy that, and paste that link here. So now I have a resource folder. And anytime that I want to add something to the course, I can just dump it into the folder instead of attaching over and over and over again. And so it's just all I'm doing now is dropping things into the folder that are accessible here. Let me just check your questions really quick. Okay, so the other idea with this is kind of, oh gosh, I might have lost it. Let's see if I can find it. Classroom. Oops. So I had this ready for you guys. This is an idea where I'm taking this finally one step further. Man, do I have it? I had everything open for you guys. Yes, here we go. I'm going to share this link right here. So another thing that Google does for us that's really nice is every time I make an assignment in Classroom, Google creates a template folder for me, and all my assignments get shoved in there. So as I work with teachers from all over the country, I've invited them to make their Google Classroom template folder public. So if you want to see what Debbie Tartano, who teaches 7th grade, if you follow this link, that's going to take you to Debbie's template folder. And every time she does something new with her students, an example is going to be dropped in there. You can see all the lesson ideas that Debbie's doing with her kids. See something you like, file, make a copy. So you have 2 options here if you follow this URL, and I'll paste it to the notes because I'm adding it last second here. If you like this, you can either hop into here and check out different people's things, or make some space at the bottom for yourself and add your own template folder to share with the world. So anytime even if one of these teachers might only have like 3 lessons in there, Jessica Whitney's 1st grade class, but you know what? By June, it's a live folder. Something new is being added all the time. So if something's being added, you can just, it's a live update. So I'm gonna paste this onto the notes. Again, sorry for losing track of things. And I'm gonna call this delete. Link to live shared classroom template folders. Brutal. All right, I give up. I'm just gonna paste it right here. Okay, there it is on slide 10. Sorry about that. My last piece that I'm gonna move on with on Google Docs before we move on is one doc versus many. I wasn't born technologically proficient. I spent the majority of my life kind of opposed to technology. I grew up poor. I didn't have a computer. I only worked in computer labs. I thought cell phones were silly. What's the point? I was in college in like the 2004. And like, why did you need this? My brother was on Facebook. I didn't get on. I just didn't get it, right? Until I started teaching. When I had all these students, I needed technology to help me differentiate. So as an understanding what it's like to be a new learner, I found that I don't really need one doc for every single assignment all the time. My son, who's in 4th grade, has a writing assignment every Thursday. That's a summary of his 20-minute reading every week. That's a repeated assignment. It's the exact same thing over and over and over again. That should be just one Google Doc for him the entire year. In addition to being one very easy system for both teacher and student to kind of work on together, it's really easy for me to go back and find things. And let's imagine that instead of assignments, these are all his old writing lessons. Now I've got tracked evidence of his writing over the entire course of the year that I can pull up very easily when it's like parent conferencing week or something like that. So when possible, just move the old stuff down and put the new stuff up. If you have repeated similar assignments going on in your classroom, you can just have one. I'm going to skip this open bookmark thing. So that was our kind of our Google Doc introduction. I want to move on to presentations now. So let's look at some presentation ideas. It only took me about 4 years to realize, gosh, the best way to do my warm-ups and agendas are on Google Slides, not Google Docs, I used to do the agendas on the old Google Sites and so on, and I even prefer it this way over Google Classroom's daily announcements. Let me show you why. A student, instead, I'm going to post my daily agenda as a slide deck, as you see right here, on the agenda page, on the about page. There's their agenda right there. They never, in the stream, it's mostly assignments and questions. But every day, my students know to come here and click on the agenda. And what we'll see is if a student clicks on the agenda, it opens them into a slide deck. This is really nice because not only can we see what we did today, but it's very easy to click back in what was done on all the previous days. If I have in a pretty involved Google Classroom, finding something from, I don't know, 8 days ago is a pretty involved process. But it's very easy for me as a student to go back and find all the things, all these resources, anything that was shared. If it's a daily warm-up, man, I begged my high school freshmen, if you do nothing else to study, just go back through the daily warm-ups and go over those questions. It's really easy for them to do that. So those are the benefits to the students. Now let's imagine a benefit for the teacher. Let's say I want to find what I did a year ago during my Newton's Law unit when I taught high school physics. There it is. I can just type in agenda and I have a nice controlled slide deck that has what I did for that unit a year or two ago. And that's really nice to be able to step back, especially if I'm a new teacher, or B, a teacher teaching new content, a new grade level. It's nice that I have all my collected agendas for a unit, for a standard, for a learning set, all in one place. So the benefit to the students putting it on slide deck is it's easy to go back and see old stuff compared to, say, the stream on Google Classroom. The benefit for the teacher is I have all my old processes saved and I can see what I was doing very easily from day to day to day throughout the unit. Again, I'm going to paste this Google slide deck on the announcements page. Which Google shortener would I recommend? I like the Google URL shortener, or if you like to be able to edit, I like the Google URL shortener because it has an extension and it's done quickly. The other URLs like Bitly and TinyURL are nice because you can customize them, so it's easier to share. So it just kind of depends on what you like. All right, so again, that's pasting slides on the presentation page. On the About page, the stream and classroom, I try to keep as clean as possible. Questions and assignments. Other things, I try my best to put them in other places. Okay, here's another presentation example, and instead of doing the interactive piece, I'm just going to show you what it might look like. I have made a totally normal example of an assignment we might do in the very beginning of the year. I had teachers interview their partners. What's their name if they weren't a teacher, or something weird about their family, right? This is like our first day of school type of activity. But what I did with the slide deck right here is I've done a bunch of slide linking so that every student or every student set has their own group. So for example, I'm gonna give you all the prompt and I'll tell my class or group of users, if your group or student 3029, click once, click again, and it will take you down to your own slides. This template here has 2 groups for each partner to do their content on. Now, if my students are working on their slides, here's a few things that I like. A student or teacher or whoever really only has their own workspace right here. Everybody else's work is happening over here. And any of you out there who have ever worked with a bunch of students on a single Google Doc knows that it looks like a bad day on the set of The Walking Dead really quick. It's like carnage. And on top of that, even as a controlled adult who's like focused and engaged, there's still magic watching someone else type on a Google Doc, and I've been doing this for like 6 or 7 years, right? It's just crazy to watch. But I really like that when I set my students off on a collaborative slide deck, the student really only sees their workspace and everyone else. Now let's take a look at this example. This is my students doing the same thing on a Google Doc, but watch my cursor at the top. My students' names are all appearing up here. As the teacher, I can click on each kid's name and see what Connor is doing. There he is writing right there. When I click on these names at the top, it will take me to exactly where Gus is now on the doc, and then Alexander, and then Connor. It takes me exactly to where they are. And so if I have a bunch of students spread out across 70 plus slides, I can click on all of these really fast and fly around the doc and check in on my students. The last thing that I really like about this is no matter what it is, it's a Google slide deck. So I'm ready to press present. And if it's a presentation type activity, the students can come up to the front and start presenting. There's no more sharing different files with me and me having to find the emails and opening them up or passing over tiny little jump drives. No, it's all on one place, ready to share, ready to present, ready to go. So right here is the fun stuff. And this took me a long time. It was kind of a pain in the butt. If you like this idea, on slide 17, follow that link and there's a view only copy that you can file, make a copy of, and do whatever you like with. But I have all the linking done for you. So on slide 2, there's all the students right there. Every kid, 36 is my contract max, so that's what I wrote it for my district. Every kid has 2 slides, and you know what? If student 1 is a go-getter and adds like 10 things, it doesn't mess up everyone else's linking, if that makes sense. Oops, I'm going to undo a bunch of stuff. Sorry, I deleted things the wrong way. There we go. Okay, so you can file, make a copy of this, and you've got the hard part down. It's up to you to make it cool. We can do anything with this. I have had groups of students do sample math problems, so they have to show the solution, set it up with pictures, and write a description. And now I've got a bunch of practice problems for the whole class to use. Super antique types of things like vocabulary at the beginning, first day of a new learning set, right? Every pair of groups of students of 2 or 3 get a vocab word. Use it in a sentence. Define it. Find a picture. Done. We have flashcards now at the very beginning of the unit, and now that's a super efficient way. Now, what you might have noticed about these assignments that I'm doing is they're kind of unique in that because everybody can see everybody else's work, two things should apply. First, this can't be graded, or students will have a reason to copy, right? So this is like research work, this is projects, or these are every group has a subtly different task. Most of this is done with group work for me for that reason, partners, groups of 3, groups of 4 on these collaborative docs. And then, or it's a benefit that other people can see other people's things. Hey, everybody, all I want you to do is paste in your thesis statement onto each slide so that we can all see everybody else's. Because one challenge of being a bad writer is you don't see good writing enough unless I, as a teacher, take the time to scan it, project it, put it on a doc camera, whatever. But now I can see an entire class's worth of thesis statements or whatever very quickly. So it's a nice way to get sharing out there. Again, these are all practice. These are all kind of mid-unit activities. These aren't really assessments or assignments because of the shared nature. The one thing I do like are doing like review tests, practice tests this way. So again, so that other students can see other students' things. If you like this idea, but you are in a learning style or content area that lends itself to writing more, on slide 20, you can see a Google Doc version of the same idea. Every student has their own part of the doc that they can do a more of a writing type task with. Students click on their number and it drops them down their student 19 space. So if you like the writing version, you can steal this template. Go ahead. Now, one thing I want you to know, if I see some people hopping onto these docs, if you're copying this template right now, please remember this slide. You are all looking at my template right here, and you're going to do file, make a copy. This now becomes your template. Okay, you don't ever touch it, because if you do one assignment with it, you've lost your template. You keep this one clean, and anytime you get a cool idea, file, make a copy of your template, and then post it on Google Classroom. Anyone with link can edit. Get another idea, file, make a copy, post it on there anywhere you want. Anyone with link can edit, get it to your students, but you need to keep your template clean. My second graders can do this. Super excited. I'm super excited to hear that. That's great. Okay, so they're moving on. So we've got some templates. I'm kind of lost where I am. Okay. So we've got our slides. We've got our idea. This is your warning. If you're copying any of these templates, please keep your template clean. Here's some more examples. I kind of originally got this idea by a blog post from Wendy Gordon. So this is Wendy Gordon's like 10 cool ideas of back to school things that I kind of eventually turned into this idea. And this is why I'm a huge believer in stealing. Copy other people, get sparks from people, and then make it yours. Like my addition to this was all the linking that now people love. And I'm sure people are doing their own cool and different things that I would have never thought of. Okay, oh, there it is. Hey, I do have it on there. Great. Okay, slide 22 is a link to shared folders. If you are using that, again, that link will take you to other teachers' published classroom folders. If you're hopping in a little bit late, this is a new idea to me, so I'm going to spend another minute pitching it. All of these people are getting a publicly viewable link to their Google Classroom template folders. So anytime they do a new assignment, you can go see what Shannon Charles is doing in 8th grade. Anytime Kathy does a new assignment, it gets dropped into her 5th grade template folder. If you see value in this, please add your name here, link to your template folder, but you need to make your template folder publicly viewable. You might see some of these that you can't view. That means that people forgot the final Google Drive step. I'm going to show it one more time. Go into Classroom. Let's go into Mississippi. Oops. This isn't my school one. No, I don't have it here. Imagine this is your template folder. Right click, get shareable link. Turn link sharing on. And you need to go into your share settings because all of our defaults are school district only. Anyone at EdTech team, in my case, we need to go to advanced. It's not good enough to make it just shareable to your district. We need to do 2 more steps. Advanced. Anyone on the EdTech team? Nope. Anyone with link can view. Now that folder is ready. So please contribute to this. I'm really excited about it. I've only been doing this for a couple weeks and I've already got a lot of folks participating. Yeah, it's a fun thing we can do. Thanks guys for playing along, or at least taking a look at what other folks are doing. If that linking thing where I linked, it's called introdoc navigation, because that's what I call it. I don't know what Google calls it. They call it table of contents or headings. If you want to know how to make these yourself, like I made this slide deck right here, all of these links were done with this process on slide 24. Great. Okay, we got 5 minutes left. We're going to dive into one, maybe two forms ideas. Okay. Working with teachers at the county office level in California, and also now working globally with EdTech team, I find that a lot of people are doing late work different ways in Google Classroom. Here's my approach. I have a separate Google form for people to turn in late work, because I don't want to go all over my Google Classroom to see when somebody turns in one assignment late versus a different assignment late. And maybe I had a one-on-one with a kid and I gave him approval to turn in something, right? We all have different late work policies, but the unique challenge that we all share in late work is we're having random things coming in at different times, which makes it a little bit harder for us to manage. So I make a simple Google form, name, last name, assignment names that I'm accepting, and then the assignment URL. This will go on the About page of my Google Classroom. So students know they don't go back into the assignment to turn in late work, because I might miss the notification. I might not be looking at that particular part of my classroom. I know that maybe once a week or whatever, I'm going to go into my results spreadsheet. And this is what it looks like. Student names, whatever particular assignment it was. And then what I like about a spreadsheet is it live links all of these things automatically. So I can pull up different things. And because it's a sheet, I can sort and see, who's been doing a lot of late work. I have all this evidence. I get my timestamp, so I have evidence when things are turned in. Or I can sort by assignment name if I want to accept late work for, say, their Genius Hour research for the week of the 24th. Now, this is actually how I used to collect digital assignments before Classroom, but now I've pivoted this to be my kind of one-stop place when I want to look at late work, so I'm not kind of going all over all these different assignments all over my classroom. I hope this idea makes sense. And the beauty is if I go to form, edit form, if I click on my things, you know what? When they had to find YouTube videos for the standard they were assigned, I'm just flat out not accepting that anymore. But I can add Genius Hour research. So I can modify this as the unit goes on and on and on to just flat out not accept things anymore. And no matter how hard a student tries, this is all they see when they follow the link. There is no button to turn in their website standard video that they had to find. It's just gone. So I don't have to make new forms every time. Though, depending how much you do this, you might want to say make a new one every unit, every quarter, every month, every grading period, whatever it is, because at some point, the spreadsheet's just going to get really, really big, and it's just worth it to make a new one. So it's very easy to kind of control what I'm still accepting by just deleting and adding tabs here. Let's see, great tip. Any other tiny announcements? Any other questions? I'm just taking a peek through. Final form idea in our final minute. Here's a YouTube video on how to kind of build that, how the whole idea works. And my last idea is for rubrics. When I set up, here is an assignment rubric that I built for a lab write-up, right? I'm going to do lots of lab write-ups as a science teacher, so I can just have the same rubric, and maybe I can add new ones for new assignments for some unique parts. But by and large, I'm grading the pre-lab on the same standards. I'm grading the procedures and the results in summary, even though they might all be unique. So for like larger scale repeated assignments, I can have this rubric going. Students can grade themselves on it before they turn it into me, and then I can grade it. You can do this however you want. Peers can grade each other by filling out the rubric. The nice thing is I get a spreadsheet. And when it's a spreadsheet, my results can be averaged. All right, so if I type in a nice little spreadsheet formula, I can see my average for Alex or everyone else. Or I can average the column to see, well, how did my whole class do on their pre-labs? Is that something we need to review? We've been doing this all year, but maybe they're getting lazy at it. Maybe I'm not focusing on it much. Average equals average, and just grab the whole column. Now it's all done in one place. So my class average is a 3.6 for their pre-labs. Again, this whole rubric idea is very, very easy. I'm gonna go 1 minute over and make a really, really fast one because it's a lot easier than I made it look. So I'm gonna show you this rubric really fast. I'm gonna show you the link to the notes and we're gonna wrap up and I'm gonna close the presentation. You all probably have rubrics made. You have them printed and ready to go. And so what I don't want you doing is rewriting your rubrics on a form. Rubric, I'm just gonna call this first name, last name, and then here's the rubric part. You wanna choose a multiple choice grid. Let's just say this is a presentation rubric. Column 1 point, 2 points. Let's say this is a 4-point rubric. And then what do we have in presentations? We have content, right? How did it look? We have knowledge. Did they understand it? We have professionalism. Did they dress well and speak well? And then we have, I don't know, something else, right? That's it. That's all you have to do. That's good enough, right? You have the rubric printed out to look at, or maybe all the students are looking at this form while they have the actual rubric descriptors, and everybody can grade everybody else however they like and press submit. And now I can have tons of data points, but it's very easy to average. And again, I just want to remind you, just using the grid, I don't need to rewrite the rubric. I might have to print it up for everybody, but that's okay, especially if I'm using it over and over again. And it's very easy because what I really want are those spreadsheet functions when I'm using rubrics. Very easy to use. Okay, guys, that was our quick fly through all of our different ideas for Google Docs, Google Classroom, forms, and sheets. There's the link to the presentation, guys. It's been a blast. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Thanks for hanging in there with me, and go out and be great. You can find me at sergio@edtechteam.com. If you send me something, I will get back to you, I promise. All right, bye all.